Okay. Right. Come on. This one is on.
Yes, we'd like to speak about backsliding, which means Christians who've, been baptized, born again, saved, and suddenly fall back into sin and give up reading the scriptures, and slowly but surely they backslide. And it's like going up a mountain. They start to go back down, and suddenly they lose their peace and their joy and love. Maybe stop mixing with other Christians, and suddenly they fall into all kinds of sin. But God says He will cure your backsliding. And in His words, there's lots of scriptures where He calls His people back. Come to me, all of you who are weary and tired from carrying heavy loads, and I will give you rest. That's what Jesus says. Come drink, Isaiah 55, come drink. And it will cost you nothing to take from God what He's got to give you. So all the time God's reaching out often to a rebellious and disobedient people. But He never gives up. He's always reaching out, and sometimes, like King Solomon, he backslid for about 25 years. And in those years he denied himself no good thing. He thought everything he wanted under the sun he would try. He had lots of different marriages, got involved with his wife's false gods, and enjoyed life to the full. But then he wrote the book of Ecclesiastics, which talks about how he found nothing in anything, and how he came back to God, and how he repented. And he just says, don't go there really. But that's a good book for Christians that are backsliding to read, because it really does explain how that King Solomon found backsliding, and the great depth of his sorrow that it brought to him in the end, and all the mistakes he made, and all his life he was just on that wrong road until he came back to God. And if you read the book of Ecclesiastics, you'll discover that there's lots of words in there that shows the deep sorrow that King Solomon experienced for having gone away from God. Some people backslide for a few years, some fall into bigger sin, and then almost find it almost impossible to come back to God, because having once known the truth and tasted the good things of God and then gone away from it, they found
they're worse than when they started.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pleased to be able to confess really to the brothers in the church and the sisters. I do that, by the way, cover Bridget's head in prophecy. 1 Corinthians 11.
Yes.
Well, I was a very, very fervent, should I give my testimony?
Yes.
A very, very zealous Christian. And for my first year after baptism, I was not even tempted, yet alone sinned. I did not sin for a year. And then I was thrown into a mental hospital. I was persecuted for my faith, and they called me mentally ill. They gave me ECT, 1,200 volts to my head against my will. They injected me with drugs. They gave me spasms like that, and I couldn't move. Filled me with drugs. And then this nurse took me back to her flat on my weekend away. Although I was sectioned, locked up in the hospital, I was allowed a weekend away after a while. And I became a fornicator. I hadn't had fellowship for 3 or 4 months, 6 months rather, because the church, thank you very much church, you did not bother once contacting me or coming to see me. You didn't phone me once. And this I'm happy to expose them, you think? Or not? Perhaps I shouldn't name names.
No.
But they did not phone me, write to me, or come and see me. I was held up in that church as the person who had most radically repented out of over 1,200 people. They didn't bother. Now that's a word, isn't it? If you leave a Christian on his own and don't come to his help.
Yes.
Well, anyway, what happened, I hadn't seen a Christian for 6 months, was I got tempted. First of all, I became impure. You know what that means? With myself, you know, sexually. And then this nurse came. Anyway, 10 years later, wasn't it? 10 years, I fell into becoming a fornicator. I went on internet chat lines. And then I met Bridget here. Yeah? And she told me to get rid of the internet, which I did. Jesus said, if your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. That doesn't mean literally. It means, in other words, be that radical against sin if you're in sin. So if you're an alcoholic, you don't go in a pub. Okay? If you're things like that. And for me, internet, chat lines, I got rid of the whole internet. Right? Cut it off. And you've got to do that. If you're into pornography or anything, you don't go into a newsagent. Right? You stay clear of the place of temptation. Change your friends. Bad company corrupts good character. If you get saved and you've been into drugs, you don't have anything to do with drug dealers, alright? Don't try and get them saved. Well, you can, I won't tell you not to, but you know, you mustn't keep company with them and not talk about Jesus. Keep it on Jesus. Anyway, Bridget came along and we got rid together of all the bad people in my life. And it took a lot of work, right? I needed someone, Bridget, to come along and get me out of the mud I was in. Alright, I was stuck in the mud. I was stuck in the mud. So, backsliding we're talking about. Get help, yeah? And take advice.
Because God calls it in His Word a miry pit.
Yeah, it talks about a pig returning to the mud, doesn't it?
Yeah, or a dog back to his own vomit.
Yeah.
And almost, if you think of a miry pit, it's almost impossible to get yourself up once you've gone in there. So it's much better not to backslide at all.
Of course it is.
But if you find yourself in a position where you have, then my advice is come back to God and start reading His Word. Come back into a church, into fellowship with Christians. Find people so that you can be accountable to them. People who will pray for you, people who will help you and see you through, people who care for you, and walk that narrow road, because you know it says wide is the road to destruction and many are on it, and narrow is the road to salvation and few find it. So once you're back on that narrow road, don't depart from it. Don't take any slip roads, any easy ways out. Continue to read the Word of God, continue to meet with Christians, sharing and moving on. And although having backslidden, you probably have damaged your life for however number of years, but God is a restorer, and He will give you back the years the locusts have eaten, and God will restore you in due time. So stay in fellowship, keep praying, find friends within the church. As Simon just said, bad character corrupts good character. So get rid of anything in your life that's causing you to sin. Television.
Yeah, I got rid of my TV. I haven't watched it for 8 years.
Yes, it's such a waste of time. And get rid of anything that causes you to stumble, and anything that you are tempted. Smoking, drinking, drugs, bad friends. Just cast them all aside.
Bad music.
Bad music, absolutely. Bad music can keep you...
It's got to be Christian music.
Yeah, no rock and roll.
No.
No heavy metal.
No.
Or anything that causes your mind, even rap music, which is sung at such a high pitch, gives you anxiety. I know that because I listen
to
lyrics.
And the fornicators.
Yeah, the lyrics, they seduce you into some kind of well-being and excitement and things, but it's just for a short while, and in the end you fall down again. So really you've got to stay up there with God, with His people, walk the line and don't depart from it, and in due time you will find your feet again. Yeah,
let's see how long we got. I think we've got 1.5 minutes, viewers. Oh no, 2.5, that's good. So The other thing, yeah, carry on. You got more to say?
Well, you know, God is a restorer, and He won't hold it against you once you've repented and you move on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Have you got more to say?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, this is interesting. I was still reading the Bible, still going to church, still praying every day, all day, still witnessing, and yet I fell. And one reason maybe was that the church was not the right church. Bridget's born again, I'm born again. I think I was in Babylon, right? You can read it for yourself, Revelation 17:18. I've got this subject on other DVDs, videos. So,
yes, man-made precepts, yeah.
So, you've got to have meaningful relationships. I knew 100 people, but I just used to say hello, how are you doing? I'm fine. That was it. And sing a song that I've been told to sing, you know, all the hymns in church. But with Bridget, we've got accountability. And that, I tell you, one good relationship is better than any number of superficial ones, yeah?
You got to support and help each other and be there and help one another to stay on this narrow road. And in the end, then God will help you once you turn back to Him.
Yeah, we've got more to say on this. In the next video we'll do a part 2 and probably a part 3. Just like to say, that although I backslid very badly, for example a woman even got pregnant, God, since I got free, has blessed us together with 2,000 young people saved, 25 people I've baptized.
That's right.
Right, so that's the good news, is that you can recover, so don't feel down, you can recover fully. Okay, you'll damage yourself and you get prayer for healing, yeah?
Yes.
But God can still bless you. He will never give up on you.
No, so don't waste time. Get back on the road again.
Yeah, He will never give up on you. Now, please watch part 2 and part 3, because I've got more to say.
So have I.
Good, we've got more to say. Right, okay, so God bless. Bye.